everyone, I'm Erica from the blog Buttered Side Up, and today I'm going to show you how to make my sourdough donuts. Get excited, people. These have a phenomenal brown butter glaze that you're just going to go crazy about. Now, there are 3 things that you need to ensure if you want these donuts to be nice and light. Number 1, you need to make sure that you have the amount of flour correct. If you go really heavy on the flour, then the dough will be too stiff, and then your donuts will turn out dense. If you go too light on the flour, then the dough won't have enough structure, and the dough will be too difficult to work with. Number 2, you need to make sure that you develop the gluten properly. Make sure you knead the dough for 10 minutes on medium-low speed, which is a 3 out of 10 for me on my mixer. And number 3, you have to make sure that you let these donuts proof long enough. Make sure that the donuts are quite puffy before you fry them. You will need to handle them gently because they'll be so soft and puffy that you could easily deflate them. All right, now that I've gone over those rules, let's dive in and make these sourdough donuts.
You want to start with a mature sourdough starter. A mature starter is one that has been fed 8 to 12 hours previously, is active and bubbly, and passes the flow test. Add half a cup of whole milk to the bowl of a stand mixer. Don't use low-fat milk here. Add half a cup of mature sourdough starter, 2 1/4 cups of organic all-purpose flour, 1/3 cup of organic cane sugar, half a teaspoon of unrefined sea salt, 1 whole egg plus 1 egg yolk, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and 1/4 cup of salted butter that has been melted. Knead on medium-low for 10 minutes. Scrape the dough into a greased bowl. Cover and allow to ferment at room temperature for 8 to 12 hours or until doubled. Plop the dough out onto a piece of parchment paper. This parchment paper will save you a lot of headache later, trust me. Pat the dough out to about 1/2 inch thick. Using a biscuit cutter, mason jar, glass, or donut cutter, stamp out rounds of dough. Using the smallest biscuit cutter in your set or a small bottle, stamp out donut holes. Allow to rise in a warm spot for 2 to 4 hours. I'm lucky enough to own a warming drawer, so I let my donuts rise in there, but you can also turn your oven on to its lowest setting, turn it off, and then use that as your proofing station. Heat a couple of inches of avocado oil in a cast iron skillet to 365 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Carefully drop the risen donuts into the hot oil. Cook until they're golden on the bottom, about 1 minute. Flip and cook for another minute on the other side. Remove to a paper towel lined baking sheet to drain. Fry the donut holes the same way that you did the donuts. Some of the donut holes might refuse to flip over, but that's okay. And here are the finished donuts. Don't they look amazing? Now these are delicious just like this, just plain without any toppings. But to take it a step further, you can make my brown butter frosting. Sift 3/4 cup of powdered sugar into a bowl. My powdered sugar was insanely lumpy. Brown 2 tablespoons of salted butter. If you've never browned butter before, I have a video tutorial all about that, and I'll link that in the iCards. Pour the brown butter on top of the powdered sugar and add a pinch of unrefined sea salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. You might need to add more cream or a little more powdered sugar to get just the right consistency. You don't want the frosting to be too thin or too thick, just a nice medium. I like to frost my donuts with an offset spatula, but you could also pour the glaze on top of them or dunk them. I personally find that dunking is the least effective. Guys, this frosting is so good, you have to try it. These donuts are best served immediately, but you can store them in an airtight container in the fridge if needed.
So that's how to make my sourdough donuts. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more recipe videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Number 2, you need to make sure that you develop the